Welcome to the Copilot Connection.
We're here to share with you all the news, insights, and capabilities of the Microsoft Copilot ecosystem from across the entire Microsoft stack. I'm Zoe Wilson, and I'm the Global Digital Workplace Consult Leader at Kyndryl, a Regional Director, and an MVP for Copilot and Copilot Studio.
And I'm Kevin McDonnell, an MVP for Copilot and Copilot Extensibility, and the UK lead for Copilot and Agents at Avanade. And we'll be releasing episodes as podcasts and on YouTube with insights from experts in the community and Microsoft on what the different areas of Copilot and Agents mean, the impact they can make to you and your organization, and what you need to do to prepare for them. Do you know, we probably need to update that because we never get anyone on these days.
I was just
we
thinking
need to get off our backside. We do have Copilot Fireside Chat for the expertise, but maybe we need to think about changing that at some point.
Yeah, either changing it or finding some more guests.
Yes.
Like you said, it's been a while.
Getting more organized. I was going to say we've been a bit quieter. I know we've gone straight into the chatting. We've been a bit quieter, I think, just summer months, busyness and things like that. But as we get post this summer holiday season, maybe we'll see what we can do and get a few more interviews scheduled outside of Copilot Fireside Chat. I think especially the community people. It's just reminded me, I think I got 3 recordings from ESPC last year that I never actually put out. So yeah, maybe we need to get better at that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be interesting to look at those and see how relevant they still are, considering how fast the news changes
not a bad
in this
idea,
field.
actually. Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah,
I think it was Stella Hansen, Caroline, Callin. I can't remember who else I interviewed. I'll go back and find those, and yeah, we'll see how outdated they look and how much things have changed.
yeah.
So, what are we talking about today?
Well, like you said, it's been a little while since we've done this with holidays and travel and things like that. But there's a little bit of news that seeps in over the summer, as well as the Microsoft end of fiscal results for their Q4 as well. Still very hot though, isn't it?
Yes,
In another heat wave. I think we were in a heat wave the last time we did this.
Yes, I was looking back at the notes and the first comment there was hot. I was like, yeah, that still holds. I think where we are, or certainly Wisley, which is just around the corner from me, they've had 50 days without rain. And I don't, if we've had more, it's only been a tiny spattering. So,
yeah. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of the videos that are coming out of UK festivals, and the amount of dust is comparable to something like Burning Man in the US. Boomtown is on this weekend and it just looks horrendous. And then I'm going to a festival in the north at the end of this month, and they've already started issuing warnings about the amount of dust as well.
Really? Wow. No, it's not nice out there as well. I did have a week in Sweden where it was kind of mid-20s and it was so nice. We're on a friend's island, the archipelago, cooling off. And that reminds me, yes, apologies to anyone who saw that LinkedIn post. I was in the office yesterday and had 4 different people come up to me and say, yeah, I feel I've seen a bit too much of you now, Kevin. So yeah, possibly true. Possibly.
Yeah,
true.
I mean, I'm not quite sure whether there was any nipple showing, but I think nipples are more for Facebook than LinkedIn.
Yes. There certainly was an intentional nipplage going on. But yes, I had a lot of comments. It's like, okay, maybe people do actually look at my LinkedIn posts. That's worrying.
Yeah. I mean, so talking of the weather, I was in Vegas for a week and it was 40 to 45 degrees, but it actually felt more
You never
tolerable.
go outside, do you?
Well, no. So it was more tolerable in that temperature than it is here in this temperature because the humidity is so much lower. Yeah, I'd rather be in a 40 to 45 degree dry heat than the 35 to 40 33 to 38 that we've had here, where it just feels awful. It's like being on holiday in the Mediterranean somewhere.
It is, except that nowhere can cope with the heat and everyone's grumpy and people do crazy things.
And the food's not as nice.
Yeah, and the drinks and why the hell are we here? It does feel very English, us starting talking about the weather. We should probably move on from that soon.
Yeah, so I think the last episode we talked quite a bit about FinOps because obviously Microsoft have started introducing the concept of the consumption-based pricing. Let's start there.
Yeah, well, funny enough, we were kind of chatting yesterday and I was like, what are we going to talk about? It's like, well, I'm going to spin up Cowork and get it to give us some show notes. And I did until it ran out of budget overnight. And then I increased the budget on, it was on my VP tenant. So I've got a pay as you go, increased the budget on there. It actually burnt through, hang on, I've got the number here, 2,381 credits, which I was think sort of 20 to 30 quids just to get some show notes. So all that conversation we had about value, when I think we've used about probably about a fifth of the thing. I think the Q4 results content looked very good. A lot of the other stuff wasn't exactly what we wanted. And by the time I got the budget back, I kind of scribbled my own notes, which worked better anyway. So interesting. I think that conversation is going to continue about how do you work out the value? When do you decide to run these things? Because I did not know when I kicked that off. I probably shouldn't have asked it to go out and search the web and search these different locations. I could have tailored in some of what it did, but yeah, it burnt through the budget that I'd allocated for the month very quickly, annoyingly.
It's interesting, isn't it? There was a conversation recently in the Copilot WhatsApp chat we're in where they were asking lots of questions around how runtime works for Copilot chat and Cowork, because they're trying to understand the sustainability impacts and just how it works and some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. And after a few kind of bits of questions and probing, one of the comments that they made was super interesting, where they said that, they had a few people that they'd given Cowork to in Copilot just to see how they're using it. And one of the things they discovered was that for those who were fully adopting it, they used Cowork for everything, even things that Copilot on its own can do really well. Yeah. So it just highlights, first of all, that organizations, again, need to really understand this whole approach to the consumption-based pricing. But also there's a bigger need than ever to make sure that people understand what to use when, and that they understand the impact and implication of them opting to use Cowork over Copilot as an example.
Yeah. And I think exactly what you're saying there. The shift is people need to understand. I think a lot of the time these discussions around costs, budgets, how do we allocate these things, how do I decide what to use when, has kind of happened at the maker level, the administrative level. This is now going to come to the end user. I'm going to have to decide if I've got, like my budget, I've got 2,000 credits or however many I've got. How do I decide when to use Cowork? That's not up to the organization shift. And when we're still in a world of explaining what Copilot is, explaining what it's called, we'll come back to that, and things like that. This is quite a complex thing. So I think this is opening up a new challenge. But the good news is Microsoft's not releasing any more credit-based things, are they? Hang on. So I think while I was on holiday in Sweden, I kind of occasionally looked on my phone and I was like, bloody hell, they've gone GA with something in August. Who goes GA with things in August? And they released the Copilot Studio, what was the new experience, as they have been called of it. That's obviously kind of not really very explanatory. So they thought they'd come up with a nice name of the Copilot Studio GitHub Copilot Harness. I believe this new name, which is really understandable.
I feel like the people who are responsible for naming things in Microsoft, they don't have
on
much
holiday.
To do. Yeah, no. Yeah. It appears that they don't have much to do this summer.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Because they're coming up with all kinds of new things.
Yeah, and it's funny, when I saw that, I was like, okay, nice. Maybe Copilot Studios now going to have go against GitHub Copilot licensing. Nope, not at all. I am slightly baffled why they've called it GitHub Copilot. I think it's a little confusing to people. But so ignoring the ranting and raving about that, the important thing about this is it is now charge per usage. Now, before I drill into that, they also announced that they are going to retain the old ways. So you've now got 3 harnesses. You've got what's called the standard harness for Copilot Studio, which is effectively what people had before. They've been calling it a more deterministic one, which I don't think is entirely true, but I think it's using kind of lesser AI capabilities to a degree. It works okay, but we've had a lot of times, I think a lot of people have felt that limitation to what Copilot Studio could do. That's the standard harness that works great in a lot of scenarios, but you will hit limits. They've then got the Copilot Chat harness, which I think is the declarative agent world. It's kind of the agent builder world, but you can use it in Copilot Studio. It's what used to be the Copilot agents within Copilot Studio. I think it's retained that within there. I'm still slightly confused, but that's my understanding. Zoe's got that look of "Don't ask me, Kev." On there for people looking at the video, but that's my understanding of that Copilot Chat. I should probably bring up the blog posts that we had.
So the look on my face, Kevin, is more if you were slightly confused and you live in this world all of the time. How are ordinary people who work, who've got like a foot in this area, how are they meant to keep up or understand?
We will come to that later, but I think keep up, yes. Understand, no. And I think there's also an element of how much do you need to understand from this as well. So me talking about it being declarative agents, what you do there, that's going to be a more advanced area of where you look at it. So not everyone will need to know it. But I do agree with you. It's not clear from these things. And it's why it's kind of slightly annoying when Microsoft does this during a holiday season because people haven't got the time to kind of dig into it. There's not the same momentum. So you don't get that fast follow-on of people being clearer about this. If anyone does have some good links, please do share them with us and we'll publish those out with it as well. But yeah, these are the three harnesses, the Copilot Chat one, the standard harness, and then this new one. As I say, it uses the GitHub Copilot SDK. So I guess that's the GitHub bit to it, but it's really invisible to people creating things. If you've played around with that new experience when it was in preview, for the last 2-3 months, I think, it effectively is that as well. They also rolled into that workflows. I know Ryan Cunningham's been pushing a lot with these workflows that are kind of the autonomous processes that can run. So you can have a multi-step with triggers, actions that can go ahead and run for a long time that carry on from there. So they're very nice on there. They work really well. A lot of scenarios where we've seen challenges with Copilot Studio not doing a good enough job and we've kind of thought we had to go to Foundry, I'm seeing a lot more with this that it works well and solves those problems. The thing is, it then costs you. So I think we've got here, it's got details on the Copilot Studio usage billing. That's that big user guide. I will put that on there. So they've come out with a nice, we are in 2026. Gosh, I had to think about what year it was. That's slightly depressing. So they've shared a PDF on there, which is helpful. I feel this should be an MCP server on there.
Or at least with a markdown file.
Yeah, something with that. So it is quite a nice document, but it's very involved and goes into different areas. It talks about Cowork. What I found interesting with Cowork, we've talked a bit before around the light tasks, medium tasks, heavy tasks. If we go down to Copilot Studio, we're seeing a similar view to that there is light creation scenarios, which is 1 to 20 credits, medium scenario, which is 21 to 60, and heavy creation, which is 61 plus within there. So there's quite a lot going on with this as well. So I think it's really interesting and it's going to be intriguing seeing how these things come together and how people decide. And the other factor with this credit-based is we talked a lot before about how people use these agents billing. The same is now true of dev within there. So when you're building these agents, that will also cost you credits. As you're developing and testing things out, that will now cost you credits on there, which is a different way of thinking. Any thoughts, Zoe?
Yeah, lots of thoughts. Not sure how many of them I can make public, to be honest. I would say that this is probably one of the biggest, just the whole cost management in this space is probably one of the biggest concerns that I'm hearing for people fully adopting this at the moment. And I think some of it is just maybe we don't have all of the, the management tools and the way of thinking yet, like we talked about on a prior episode. But for enterprise organizations who see the value in this type of work, they are unable to move forward because they don't know how to approach it from a cost management perspective.
Yeah, I agree. And I've spoken to a few clients. I would say right now, unless you have a very clear idea on what building an agent's going to cost you, or that you haven't been able to get things from the standard harness, don't use the new experience. It's going to cost you. The controls are not in place to manage it. So I've kind of been saying to people, don't use it, but go into it very cautiously for now. I don't find that the kind of per user controls are really in place. It's almost per environment for the time being. So being able to kind of manage that cost for the build of those agents is evolving. I will put in the show notes, there's a lovely post that a good friend of the show, Lewis Baybutt, has put together for the PowerCat team that talks about the different cost governance. I still feel that per user view of things isn't quite there. I think it will come fairly quickly on from it. I'm trying not to be too negative, because I do think the capability of this is really good. It's really impressive. I just think people need to go into this a bit like with Cowork and Scout. Just know that these are impressive. They work well. You just need to think about what this is going to cost and understand it. Trial it with a few users. Don't just stop. Trial it with a few people. Understand it gradually before going ahead. I think a lot of people are like, yay, new thing with Microsoft. I want to turn it on for everyone. No, this is one of those times just to hold off a little bit from there as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And just trying to be positive. I mean, we've got Ignite in 3 months? I'd like to think that by the time we rock up in San Francisco for Ignite, that there will be a better picture of this, because it will be one of the biggest blockers that Microsoft need to overcome for this to be adopted in the way that they are hoping it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've seen what happens. I mean, there is an element where this is very like GitHub Copilot. And I think developers have been in a world where they're using GitHub Copilot, Claude, they've got their monthly credits. They're kind of burning through those and they're starting to adapt. So I think at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of stories of people going, boom, I've burnt my credits in 2 days. I know one of my colleagues did it and we are still laughing at him. Don't just turn on Fable with GitHub Copilot. It's a really daft thing to do. That people are starting to get that understanding. I think we'll see that with this. And that's the important thing, is put those controls in place, see how it evolves. And think about it. I think, Zoe, we've got to mention earlier, we've had the MVP renewals. You and I both renewed from there, which is very exciting. We've had a few anonymous people kind of burning through some of their GitHub credits, building some tools on there. Some of them more useful from others, but I think we've had a couple that's worth highlighting as very useful tools for people to understand on there. I know some people this year have had their blue rings, which is Microsoft, probably quite a while ago, 6-7 years ago, they started bringing out the blue rings for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, basically so you didn't have too many going around your trophy. Unfortunately, MVPs don't like holding back. So what they've done is actually add them. And I've seen some people have the rings going all the way around and kind of sticking them down on there. So kudos to anyone who's managed to just have the ring there and add things on top of that. Yeah, I'm not one of those yet. When I get to the top, I promise I'm going to start bringing them down on there. But an anonymous MVP has created one that's trying to work out how many blue rings you should have. So based on, I'm trying to remember when mine was. I think I was May 2000.
And mine was August 2021.
Yeah, I think I was May or June on there. So attempting to quantify consigning a 5-year-old. Someone's had a lot of fun with this. Yeah, you should have 1 5-year ring. And it's your trophy behind you. I think I can just see it there.
Yeah.
And you have one ring on that, don't you?
Yeah, it reminded me actually. My 6th ring has actually gone missing. I have 5 one, and then when the other one arrives from FedEx,
On
finally,
top.
that will sit on top.
So yes, thank you to whoever's created that. The other one, and this is the congratulations we can check for you at the moment. I can actually check if I'm a dual award MVP on there. So someone has built and hosted this on there. I do love, I just noticed that this has a REST API down the bottom. So if you want to build this into your process, no MCP server. So they're obviously a little bit backwards, whoever developed this. But am I a dual award?
I really hope, Kevin, that whoever built these is actually going to check the podcast out.
I do, yeah. That would be funny if we get some mentions on that. So I've got a message. Both of mine are in Microsoft 365, so I am not a dual award. I have 2 technology areas, but all in the same category on that. Maybe if we check yourself, you are actually now a dual award MVP because of all that Copilot Studio, which means you can explain to me all about the GitHub Harness. Is that right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
On there.
Yeah.
So I think this is an interesting topic. I think these are fun. Please, no one should be taking offense to any of these. They're a little bit of fun and games for people on there. What I find interesting and what I'm starting to see in organizations is a lot of these mini apps are being spun up and then used a few times and then disappear. People forget about them. We kind of talk a lot about governance over I think the governance of these mini apps, where they're created with Claude, created with Cowork, created as agents, we're going to need to start managing these because people are churning through these tokens, building some fun things up. But
and then just forgetting about them. So
yeah,
I'll give
and they're not used.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I can't show you it, unfortunately, because I don't have access to it. But last month, me and my other half went to Tomorrowland Festival. And when the timetable, like the set list, was published, he got a list from me of who I wanted to see, along with his list, and he put them into Claude. And he asked Claude to help with a strategy for what time you need to get to each stage and when you need to move between them and all of those kinds of things. Without prompting, it created a little web app for him. So on his phone,
really?
he was able to open it, and it had it looked branded, and it had got for the sets for the artists that we'd said were must see. It had like a little gold thing around them. For the ones that were nice to have, so, it got like a silver one. It told him like when we needed to leave a stage to be able to get a good spot at another area before the next DJ. And he didn't even ask it to do this. It was like, here, I've built a little planner for you.
That's very good. Because I remember you telling me about the app. I hadn't realized that it happened automatically. That's very cool. No, I've seen a few. A good friend of ours, and I'll mention his name after the show, who's getting married later this year, has actually built a table allocation app using Claude for him and his wife-to-be to kind of put some rules in as where people go through on there. And I'm loving the non-dev people creating some really useful apps that are coming through as well. So I think there's a lot of value, and I love your scenario where it's a time-based value. There's a lot of value in using those tokens now. Hopefully it's deleted and cleared down now or updated for next year. But I think it's these ones where people have a good idea, but then never kind of push it out afterwards.
Yeah.
That I think is going to be a challenge in organizations as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I don't like, people using their AI tokens, or even if it's not token based, people just using AI for all of this absolutely horrendous AI slot posters. In my local Facebook groups, you scroll through, and it's like beauty salon.
Sorry, posters as in like a physical poster that gets Yeah,
I mean,
not someone who posting things.
Yeah, I've seen them printed out. I mean, when we were in Vegas, there was a hotel. They hadn't paid to use the billboard because it was their own billboard that was in their grounds. But they even had like these menus and things for their restaurants that were very clearly AI slop generated. And there's a pub near me that has a little Thai restaurant pop up, and it keeps being mentioned in some of my local Facebook groups as the food is really good. And I cannot bring myself to order because every time I go and look at their page, even the pictures of the food are AI generated. So how do I know what the food actually looks like?
Oh, that's ridiculous. I get the poster. I understand why people do that. I don't like it. I kind of understand the ease. I wish people would just be a bit more innovative with it. Putting food up, that is wrong.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can tell the background's very obviously AI generated, but you can't work out, is it actually a legit picture of the food, or what has the AI done to the food to make it fit into the background? So I can't bring myself to order it. But when me and my other half have been traveling over the last few weeks, we literally play a game of spot the AI slop picture. The bars that have it in the window, the restaurants that have it, the menu cards. And like you said, I can see why people do this, but it instantly turns me off going into a place.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that. And the other bit of news, it's not often I praise LinkedIn, but they've now added a button to report AI slop, which I'm very, very happy with. Seems to be inconsistent when you can report people. I haven't quite worked out what the logic is, but
yeah, I haven't tested
really
it.
happy to see that.
It's not in my mobile app yet, but you've just reminded me. I'm going to check in the browser on my laptop, and I intend to use this liberally because I've found LinkedIn to become increasingly less and less valuable with the amount of AI slop that is added.
Absolutely agree.
I've even seen people with posts saying LinkedIn has introduced an AI slop button that have an AI slop image. And AI generated text. It's like the sense of irony.
Oh, it's very funny. I'm just looking at, we'll cover this later, but someone we're going to talk about, I've got his LinkedIn post up. We could report that as AI slot, but I don't think Mr. Christie would be too happy at that.
So moving on to more serious things, we touched very briefly earlier on the fact that the renaming team at Microsoft appear to be having a slow summer because we're seeing a few things coming out. What's the latest one that we've seen this week, Kevin?
Well, there is part of this that I'm really fed up about. There's part of it that actually I think it makes sense. So the rename is M365 Copilot is now, M365 Copilot app is now the Microsoft Copilot app within there. So it's another rename of things. However, I kind of am okay with this one because I believe, I don't think Microsoft's confirmed this publicly. They've talked about a unified app that they bring, this super app that I think Satya Nadella was talking about at Ignite, that will include M365 Copilot, the consumer version of Copilot, a code version, Cowork. The intention is to have a single app that can bring together all that. And I think OpenAI are doing a similar thing. So that logic of having one place, I'm sure if you go back to our old shows, we had like 180 different Copilots we talked about at some points and how ridiculous and confusing it was, which Copilot when. Having that combination, I think it's actually quite a good thing. However,
and how many slide decks at work are you going to need to update from a naming perspective, Kevin?
I need to pause because I don't know if the Copilot app is changing, but I think we might still have M365 Copilots. There probably is still some confusion. We haven't seen the kind of full formal announcement around this, so I'm really not going to change them yet.
And is there anything else that you might need to change in the decks?
Now, this makes me cross. I'm going to bring up apologies for those listening. We will describe this, but no, I don't want to do iPhone mirroring. Oh, it's all going wrong. Let me just share this. It is the one peril of doing things on my little Elgato prompter. There, hopefully that's come up. The M365 Copilot logo is changing. And basically, I think someone at Microsoft had a really heavy book. Someone had a book and they accidentally dropped it on the logo and they have flattened entirely the 3D nature of that logo and made it a flat one. I'm trying to think of something positive.
I don't have anything positive to say on this. I actually really liked the Copilot logo. I liked the visual nature of it. I liked the fact that, it had that kind of depth perception and fluidness to it. And now I don't understand why they've done this one, apart from the fact that the marketing team who do the renames and branding were having a slow summer.
The only thing I can think is that if you have a kind of mono version of it, it looks better because you can't have that depth in a mono version. But to me, it looks like two F1 racers headbutting each other. It looks like those crash helmets hitting together like that. I really disappointed. I do have one positive. For those watching, I do try and draw the Copilot logo. It takes me about 10 versions and still looks awful on my board behind me. I think I can draw this one. This is a lot easier to kind of sketch, but yeah,
It looks like they've
just
it looks like they've used AI to generate it.
maybe.
You know,
I,
they
I
take an original one
I
and
actually think that's
simplified it.
rude about AI, if I'm honest. So,
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this last night after some of the discussion we saw in the various group chats we're in. You know, I was wondering, like, is there kind of a cost or a token element to this? You know, is there anywhere that it's actually doing something that uses the logo where they've tried to simplify it? And I don't think that's the case, but
don't know. Don't like it. Sorry. And
agreed.
yes, you can all mock me when in 6 months I go, actually, it's kind of grown on me, but I can't see it. It feels too narrow. I love the roundedness of it before. Now it just feels squidged together. But I'll include links in the show notes. We've also this post, in fact, from today, it was very quick, from Rob Quickenden talking about the rollout of the unified Copilot app, and that's what he's driving towards this. So it's actually, I hadn't noticed these. He's actually got some screenshots of there, which I didn't think were public yet. So I don't know where he's got hold of those. Interesting. So the unified app, it's something I have seen some things on this. I think it's a positive thing. So I like that. So that is the positives I will take out of it for now, small as they may be. Now I need to work out where all my show notes have gone because something's happened to my screen.
I think next up we were planning to talk about Microsoft's end of year results or Q4 results.
I was going to say this is the Q4. It's not, but do they just do a Q4 and that includes the full year as well? I meant to look at this.
Yeah, I mean some of the numbers in the report are explicitly quarter based, but some of them, yeah.
And I think overall it's positive. And I think certainly the share price has reflected that, the share price for Microsoft has been plummeting. I know some of our Microsoft friends have been lamenting that a little bit, but this seems to have been positive news from there on that. Now, full disclosure, I got a summary with Cowork that I mentioned. I haven't 100% validated these numbers against the ones, but from what I've seen, they looked correct from the summaries I'd seen earlier. So please do, as with all good AI stuff, go and check these numbers on there. But it was saying that quarterly revenue was 90 billion, so up 18%. And I think we've kind of seen that fairly consistent revenue has actually been increasing nicely. That's not why the share price has dipped. It's kind of the fears of things, but seeing Azure and cloud up 43%. The one that I found very interesting was the net seats for M365 Copilot doubling quarter on quarter. So I think that end of year push that Microsoft has really had a good impact. Talking about, over 30 million seats now for M365 Copilot.
I think the recent earning. When Copilot was first announced, they did talk about the C numbers in the earnings call, and then they didn't for a while, which to me demonstrated they weren't getting the traction that they felt would be a positive thing to share in their earnings call to the market.
I thought they talked about 15 million. Was that the last quarter? I think that was the last. They started mentioning it then, didn't they?
Yeah, I was going to say the last couple of earnings calls, I think it's been the first where they felt my perception is it's the first where they felt it has been of a number that's material enough to actually share publicly. And it's interesting because, they talk about 7 sweet traction as well, which only went GA for the last 2 months of the last quarter. And they haven't put a number against that, or at least in your AI summary, there isn't a number against that, but they talk about millions of things in 2 months.
Yes.
And I know from either press releases that have been shared publicly or from talking to clients that Microsoft were pushing fairly significantly on wall-to-wall E7. So you can expect that to include fairly sizable discounts for those first movers. And it's not clear whether they're double counting. So that 30 million paid Copilot seats, does that...
Definitely are. Definitely double counting.
My assumption is that includes the millions of E7 as well, which is why we've seen such a significant jump in it.
Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting seeing that. I think the The other one, then we'll put a link to this. Tony Redmond did a bit of a deep dive. For those who don't know Tony, he loves deep diving into things in a very positive way from that. But he did note, I think there was a lot of talk before about that 50 million that represented between 4 and 4.5% of M365 users. It's now looking about 6.5%. So I'm slightly mixed. A lot of people saying that's a very low number. I'm sure they'd love to see it nearer 10%, but I don't think it's a bad number. I don't think it's a great number either. It's good.
I mean, look at Teams, like how long Teams have been around. At the start of the pandemic, it was on around 25 million, and the growth had been pretty. I mean, I know, and this was not something that people had.
But the cost, yeah.
And for Teams, the pandemic was the thing that drove it. So this is slightly different because obviously it's a premium license SKU. But I do think with the focus that I'm seeing from Microsoft on the wall-to-wall E7 conversations, we will see that Copilot number tick up because it's being bundled in this other thing that Microsoft are trying to sell that gives more value.
Yeah. And I think we see with things like E5, now E7, it hits those big organizations, those huge enterprises. And then you start to see a slower cascade for smaller orgs kind of go, okay, maybe it is worth it. It obviously is a bigger chunk for their budget, so it's more of a discussion. But I think we'll see that tail come through from that as well.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was super interesting in Satch's report was around NHS England. So over 500,000 staff who have Copilot. The thing that I thought was interesting here isn't that they've got 500,000 people across NHS England that they've given licenses to. Is the fact that they're reporting on their trial showing they save 43 minutes per day. Really? Is this still how we're talking about Copilot value? I mean, we're three plus years in now. I thought the conversation had moved away from minutes saved.
Yes, I agree. You can hear me being very quiet and try not to say too much on this one, but no, I think that conversation is very interesting. We should be. I'm hearing a lot of people we work with move away from that number. I've had some really interesting chat with a client recently who said, yes, we can see that time saved. And we've done reports, we've done qualitative analysis, quantitative, we've looked at the reality, we've looked at how people perceive it, but it's not saving us any money. That time, and I think when we worked together, there was reports that said people are using that either to increase the quality of what they do or spending it on other things. It's not necessarily seeing an actual saving of things. And I think organizations are going, how can these tools actually demonstrate a saving? Which I think is a valid thing. We're talking about the kind of, especially with some of the automated agents coming in and providing savings. How can we actually see that? And I think it's a very valid challenge that people need to put to these items as well, which doesn't just have to be headcount reduction. I'm going to say that very efficiently. Had a lovely conversation around reducing the risk of fines. An organisation was getting a fine for a lot of things. Bringing those automated processes meant those fines would go away and they'd see that cost reduction from there as well.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say this shouldn't just be about cost savings as well.
Yeah.
I was reading into a project with a government in a Middle East country where it wasn't necessarily Copilot, but more broader AI, and they put in place a solution that would help people apply for permits to open new businesses. So by taking a huge amount of the burden and admin out of this process, they were enabling people to be able to start up businesses more quickly, generating more revenue and taxes and things like that. So, it's not just about cost savings, but actually how do you accelerate the revenue or the innovation or creativity or whatever that is as well. And we've talked before about the fact, I mean, this comes to the whole value thing, doesn't it? And how difficult it can be to quantify because value has so many different meanings in different contexts. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with this new drive to consumption-based pricing.
Yes. Fun times. Who'd be a consultant in this era is all I will say.
Yeah. So one last thing before we were going to get into, some of the events that we're at and places we're showing up. And that was a leaked memo.
Oh, yes. This was an interesting one. And I don't think we've had the full memo. I couldn't find it from a very quick look this morning from there, but there was a leaked memo from Jacob Andreu, who now owns. I'm sharing the wrong thing there, aren't I? Yes, I am. Just ignore that. That's just our show notes, I think. Come on, this is why I shouldn't do these ad hoc. If anyone from Riverside's listening, I'd love the ability to queue up things to share, so we can just click a button. But maybe that's something I need to put in the notes as well. Yes, here it was a leaked memo from Jacob Andreu, and the bit I wanted to highlight here is that he said in there, the AI app group has to earn the right to exist. And I love that mentality. I think you can imagine it's 3.5 years that Copilot's been around, and think on there, people may feel they're kind of going into a natural flow of product updates on there. The reality is all these things are changing so quickly. It's got to be earned what they're actually doing with that. They've got to keep that push going on there. And I think especially on the consumer side, I don't think Copilot's making a massive impact on things. I think far better on the enterprise side. How do these things actually align and pull together with this? So there's obviously that nerves within the organization, and they're trying to keep people on their toes. Nerves is the wrong word. I think they're very aware that this is a point in history where things could change very quickly.
Yeah.
From we're well ahead to we're nothing on that. And I think they're well aware of that they've got to keep fighting to be there, to be the right people as well.
Yeah. I mean, the line in this first bit where it said it's unusual language for a company that spent 2 years telling investors Copilot is a generational bet. I think that's quite powerful, because yes, that is what Microsoft have been telling the market, and what this memo is doing is reinforcing that in order to do that, this team has to really be focused on the value that they're bringing. When you mentioned how long Copilot's been around as well, then Kevin, and you said 3.5 years, you reminded me actually next year is 3 years since we started this podcast.
Next month.
Next month is 3 years since we started this podcast, yeah.
Goodness, that's terrifying. Time's going very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a good point. Right. So we need to make sure we get an anniversary one in for that.
Yeah. Do you know what would be super interesting as well? Sorry, listeners, we'll just divert down memory lane a little bit. It would be really interesting to look back at some of those early episodes and see how much things have changed, how many of our predictions were spot on or not.
Ooh, I don't like that. Maybe when I get my new budget of Cowork and credits, maybe I can, because we've got all the transcriptions from the show, we could get Cowork to analyze it and see how we did. That would be quite funny, actually.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what came up with that. We need to stop predicting things, I think, is the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be personally interested to see, what we got right, what we got wrong, and why as well.
Yeah, how wrong.
How wrong. Okay, so last thing to cover then, I think, before we wrap up for this episode, there's quite a few events coming up, more so for you than me, but yeah, quite a few events.
We've got a few events. I think first I wanted to cover a couple of Microsoft ones that they're putting together that are interesting from there, because I kind of my view on this is a lot of people kind of go, all these MVPs get these roadmap items. Why don't we get access to these sort of things? It's a fair argument in some cases, but Microsoft has started to address this and said, first, there's a Cowork digital accelerator. We'll put a link in the show notes. Where people can start to bring together the different IT leaders, product owners, business stakeholders to learn from Microsoft's experts about Cowork. And there's ones for Europe, Americas, Asia Pac from there. So I think that'll be interesting. The other one that's more a remote event, I know quite a few of the teams at Microsoft have been sharing this. Marilyn, who we've had on Copilot Fireside Chat, has been sharing this. They're going to have a regular session, basically looking at the latest innovations, kind of doing a run through of what's on the roadmap on there. We've had this as MVPs. They give us, here's the roadmap that we talked about publicly. They give us some of the extra NDA things. Never quite as much as we'd like, but there we go. So really, I was going to say I love Merrily and I really hope she's involved, but I've just remembered she's actually moving over to AI security, so it won't be her running these. I think it's Rob Nunez who's now picking these up. A fantastic guy. We had an MVP session with him on that. So sign up for those. They'll be online. The first one's August the 25th. So what's that? Just over a week and a bit away. And in fact, a couple of weeks, I think, for that one, for those listening fairly recently. So check out those. Really good session. And I think as a kind of pure, this is what's happening, they're really useful reminders for people to get involved with as well. And even for those who are consultants to share with clients, etc. as well.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are working in the partner space, there's usually a few different kind of partner forums, isn't there? But it's really good to see Microsoft doing this more broadly and more publicly accessible because, as we've talked about before, things move and change so quickly. And IT admins, people who are working in making this successful in a lot of end user orgs, they need to be able to keep up to speed as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, really, really have seen Microsoft doing this. Other events, talking of online ones, there's the AI Native Workplace Summit on September 16th. And look, I've just noticed, I refreshed the page and you're now on the front page with Ron, Jeff and Adam, Zoe. So that's really exciting. I think we've got a session together on that one. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be an excellent company on that first page. Unfortunately, I did realise about 5 minutes before this session that I'm actually going to be a flight back from Ibiza at this time. So, I mean, at least, the content exists. I can help you finish it. I know you'll be fantastic delivering it. And I do need to let the organisers know. But if you were planning to join this to listen to me, terribly sorry. I will be on a plane, probably sleeping after a night out. And you will be in.
So how's Cowork going with helping your planning and things like that?
It's obviously not, is it? I think in my head I thought this was the 10th, which is before I actually travel.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Very happy to pick that up, and I know you've had a good hand in the content from that, so we'll have some fun pulling that together and running that session. But maybe I'm thinking this on the fly and putting you on the spot, but maybe we can do some recordings from you in that, so we can have a bit of you in there, and then you can tick the box. I know you need all those MVP renewal points coming through as well. So.
Well, I mean, you say that in jest, but I am trying to get more online events because I haven't travelled much this year. I think my last in-person
for conferences.
Yeah, for conferences. So my last in-person event was January, and then my parents had health issues, so I had like a good 6 months of not travelling. Then I started travelling for personal fun. And I think the only conferences that I'll have between now and the end of the year that I will travel for, one is Scottish Summit, which we'll talk about in a sec, where I'm actually one of the organisers. And then I will be going to Ignite in San Francisco for work as well. But, from an in-person conference perspective, between the pressures of fairly new role and the family health things, it's been a quiet year for me anyway. For you.
And yeah, quiet travel wise, but not everything else. I would say I find that we're starting to see more virtual events come back. It's interesting speaking with some of the conference organisers. We're seeing numbers of in-person start to drop a little bit. The enthusiasm, they're kind of post-COVID, lots of new events spinning up, lots of different ones. I think the numbers, though, are starting to tail off. We're starting to see people struggle. I know we talked about Comsverse in the last one, and they decided they're not doing that next year. So I think we'll see the number of events tail off a little bit. I'm kind of hoping we see some more kind of tailored events, smaller but more focused events come through rather than these big, grander ones. And I'm hoping we see more like the AI Native Workplace Summit with these virtual ones so that people can still attend from those. I think a blend of both is really important.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's time for us to do another Copilot Connection virtual conference, Kevin.
Yes, that's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe we should look at that.
Yeah.
As long as we don't do another 24-hour on like the Viva around the world. That was a mistake.
No.
A lot of fun. Glad I did it. Never again.
Yeah. I mean, I do think I do like the fact we are getting a few more virtual events, because I think it's really important just from an inclusivity perspective.
Yeah,
For me,
absolutely.
being able to speak at user groups and events that were, nominally in another country during the pandemic was a really powerful and inclusive way for me to be able to get lots of speaking experience and cover a broad audience, particularly for events that I wouldn't have realistically been able to travel to at that point or with that frequency. So I think it's a really nice way to be able to hear from a more diverse set of speakers who maybe don't have the ability to just jump on a plane and go to another country to speak at a one-day event.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. So I hope we can see more of that. Having said that, I do have an upcoming in-person event. This is one of my favourite of the year. With all due respect to the organisers, it's because of the location. I love the organisers and what they put on there, but the location for it at the National Museum of Computing in Bletchley Park, with the history, being able to stand up in front of these still working computers from, I think, the 50s, 60s, and all the way through, being able to go and tap away on Acorn Electron in between sessions is fantastic. So I haven't quite yet worked out if I'm turning up the night before or just arriving on the day. I need to do a little bit of planning. It's not just you with the dodgy planning. It is me as well. But 23rd of September, I'll be talking, unfortunately, solo. There's a recurring theme here. I was going to be speaking with Adina Olive Watkinson on sheep herding with Agent 365. For those observing people, yes, that is a sheep hoodie behind me. I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit cooler and I can wear it at least for a little bit longer than I did it for there. So lots of, let's just see who else we got. Speakers, lots of great speakers. It's always well attended, both from national and international speakers, because they love the location. So we've got Arjun there, Matt Warnoff has come back, Heather Perriam from UK, Rebecca Isaacson. Still tickets, Laura Graham Brown. Oh, I'm looking forward to catching up with Laura. I haven't seen her for far too long on there. So lots of really great people coming back and speaking at that one. It's free tickets, so make sure you register and get involved in that. And actually looked at seeing who was speaking, getting distracted by that now. I've seen Yao and his wife are both speaking, so I don't know if they're doing a joint session, but it'd be good to see them as well. So yeah, sign up for that one. And then the next one, which is not long after that, beginning of October, is Scottish Summit. Is it really worth attending, Zoe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So this will be the first time that we've done it in Edinburgh. For those who attended, the last one we did a couple of years ago was Aberdeen, and the venue was fantastic, but just from an ability to get their perspective, it was a little bit more challenging. So I think this year being in Edinburgh, it's going to be a little bit more accessible for people.
It was a little isolated, the actual venue as well, even from there, which was a little, it was kind of helpful, but if you didn't like Les Mis, it wasn't ideal.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so Murrayfield is just on the outskirts of Edinburgh city centre, but it's still super easy to get on the tram and go in and explore Edinburgh. So this time in 3 or 4 weeks? No, sorry, 7 or 8 weeks.
Sorry, Murrayfield, as in the national stadium for the Scotland rugby team. It's actually in the stadium, isn't it?
Yeah.
For any rugby fans out there.
Yeah, so there's an events and exhibition centre in the stadium, and that's where we're running the event. We've got Martin Woodward coming for the keynote, which I've seen him speak a couple of times. He's absolutely fantastic. I really can't wait to see him do the keynote.
For those who don't know, who's Martin?
So Martin is a VP who works at GitHub. He sits in the developer relations organisation, and I think his role is a little bit broader now across some of the other Microsoft AI areas as well.
Oh, really? Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen him. He's great.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening and not watching, you won't be able to see Kevin scrolling on the Scottish Summit website. But if you do go to scottishsummit.com, there's a video embedded on the front page of Matt Beard, my co-organizer, interviewing Martin when he was in Seattle in March for MVP Summit. It's a really great interview. Go and watch it, learn a little bit more about Martin and why he's coming to speak at the event. And, we've asked him to make sure that the keynote is very much kind of not marketing slides, and not the official like marketing message. So we should get something that's really kind of developer and community focused.
And I think I know we had April Yoho on the Copilot Fireside Chat. I think what's interesting, it's not just going to be for developers. That mentality of using AI is kind of moving out to everyone. And I'm sure he'll cover a lot with that. There's other events. You've got the workshops that are happening on is that the Friday? I think, isn't it?
Yeah. So 7 weeks a day, actually, the workshops will be underway at this point. So you are hosting one of the workshops, the new speaker workshop, which, this will be the 4th or 5th time we've run this. Really fantastic workshop aimed at helping people who want to get started with speaking at events. A number of people who have attended previous workshops have gone on to be regular speakers at conferences and start traveling the world to speak at different kinds of events. And some of them have even gone on to become MVP as well. So
yeah. And
really
I think others have even just found it really useful for their day-to-day roles about coming and speaking internally as well. So even if you're not looking to go out, become an MVP, speak at events, the skills you learn from that are really helpful. So
yeah,
have a lot of fun with
and
that
then a number of other workshops as well. So we've got a security one from John Jarvis, Luke Evans and Marcus. We've got Microsoft, Dan Laskowitz and April Dunham, along with Matt Snecker, delivering their Agent Academy workshop. Some of our good friends, Chris Lloyd-Jones and Josh McDonald, have got a session all around the Enterprise AI Gateway, which will be super fascinating. And then we've got Sandra Keel, Anouk Fearens and Marcus Frams, who've got a workshop on building a gamified onboarding agent with M3 Pilot.
I hate looking at this. I genuinely would turn up to, I know this sounds bad, but I would turn up to all 4 of those workshops. I think especially the CLJ and Josh, I'd love to go and see that one. But
yeah, I mean, the last Scottish
I'm sure Sarah and Rex, can I leave them to it and I'll just duck out every now?
I mean, but yeah, entirely possible. And so that I'm particularly looking forward to seeing how Chris and Josh do their workshop, because they are both so geeky in the best possible way. And the last Scottish Summit, they had a security session that was Dungeons and Dragons themed, and they actually dressed like fully D&D themed. It was
I
excellent.
was there. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, looking forward to that one. And there's events in the evenings as well, isn't there? I couldn't see that on the site.
Yeah,
blind?
So the Friday night event is just for the speakers. That's the speaker celebration social. At the Friday night, there is a cabaret. So if you click on buy tickets, you will see if you go to the Saturday tickets, there is a cabaret ticket. So the ticket is £60. That includes a welcome drink and street food buffet. Will be entertainment. We will be doing the UK Community Awards. We're just about to get the nomination form for that open and published. So as always, I mean, the cabaret at these events is always fantastic, and there is limited capacity. So if you are coming to the event and you want to come to the awards and the cabaret, get your tickets now.
So there's no quiz this year?
No quiz.
No quiz. Outrageous. Andrew Bibby, you're getting lazy and old. It's outrageous. Moving on very quickly from that, there was another event I was going to mention. We got South Coast User Group. It seemed to have sneaked in another event at the same year as the Scottish Summit. So yeah, Aaron and Nathan watching you from that one. But I'm also speaking that. So we're doing sheep herding. We've got the full workshop on that one, and then a session on that. So looking forward to heading down to Southampton. And then I'm speaking at ESPC from that. I know sadly you're not there this year, Zoe, but looking forward to heading over to Amsterdam for that one. We'll see a post fairly soon. There are some important things. There's the Inspire Awards. I know we talked about in the last episode. There's a whole set of awards you can nominate people for. In fact, let me bring that up to remind myself. They haven't got the link on here.
Yeah, I would say as well, whilst Kevin's fanning around scrolling and trying to find a link, please go nominate people. Do not nominate me. Nominate people who haven't won before, who are, who you see making an impact and doing great things. But please just go and nominate, because it is so important that we're able to recognise the people doing great things in this space.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we include the link for that into the show note with that comment as well. There is also a sticker competition. So I think whether you're there or not, there's the opportunity to create a sticker, which I really need to do. And they very kindly published some lovely memories of last year's Christmas ugly sweater competition that I helped run there. This will be happening again. So please get planning with if you're attending or think of attending, get together with your Christmas ugly sweater gear for that. Bigger than ever before. I want more inspiration. I actually have some of my outfit down here behind me that I'm not going to reveal yet, but and there will be some sheep themed Christmas stuff going on as well. So keep an eye out for that. Lots of fun to be had.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are not aware, the winning outfit last year, Kevin, what was it?
It was me. Not my outfit. Sarah Fenner decided to decorate a Christmas outfit with lots of pictures of me in ugly Christmas attire on there. Yeah, it was quite a sight to behold. I'm not entirely sure Donna Sarker's recovered from that one yet.
Amazing.
So, and I think there's a whole load of other events. I think communitydays.org. Please get out to events. I was chatting with a guy I work with last night who's actually coming to the Scottish Summit. He lives in Birmingham, so I've pointed towards some of the user groups happening there. He's coming up with another colleague to the Scottish Summit, which is fantastic to see. So go out, chat to people. If you haven't been to one, speak to us, let us know. We'll introduce you to people. Find someone else to go with so you can feel comfortable. It is weird walking to an event on your own, but do it. Challenge.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's where I started. I think for me, SharePoint Saturday in London.
Yeah.
16, didn't know anybody. I went the first time. I didn't even know SharePoint was a thing, so I had other plans in the evening. That's how much of a newbie I was. And then it was actually SharePoint Saturday in London a couple of years. I think it was 2019 was the first one that I got a speaking session at, and the rest is history. But going to that event and being able to learn from peers and seeing people tell their story or share their experience from their perspective was the thing that made me think, actually, maybe I could do this.
Yeah. It's like, God, if they can do it, anyone can. Yes, absolutely. But I mean, joking aside, it's everyone's perspective brings a different angle to it. So we love to see new faces coming up and appearing on there as well.
Yeah.
But we should probably wrap up there.
Yeah, it's a long one today. We've gone over the hour mark.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be short, and then we got overexcited on events and chatting around that. So, thank you everyone who's managed to stay this long with us. If you want more of this inane ramblings, thank you to many of my colleagues who have been asking for this and saying it's been a bit quiet. Here we go on there. Enjoy on that. And yes, please do subscribe. Tell your people, tell your friends about it, your family, your colleagues, your clients on there. Let them know what's going on there.
And watch this space for something coming to recognise the 3-year anniversary in September as well, because we promise now we've thought of it, we won't forget it like we did last year for the second year.
Absolutely. And we do have Copilot Fireside Chat. I don't think we've announced who's coming. I think we can say fairly safely it's going to be around Microsoft Scout on there. So if you've had questions around Scout, want to provide some feedback, ask some things on there, copilotfireside.chat. Really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and just to be really clear, we are taking a break for August, so that is September, isn't it?
Good point. Thank you. Yes, that's September for that one. So,
yeah. Brilliant.
September's going to be busy. I'm sure it'll be quiet for work.
Well, you like me work in a big global organisation where half of Europe shuts down for summer and then September just goes crazy. So yeah, good luck with that, Kevin.
I try and avoid events in September. I failed miserably this time, but there we go. Cool. Thanks very much, Zoe, and we'll see everyone soon.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.